My disabled daughter was tending her garden when HOA Karen stormed over. She screamed about violations, then grabbed my daughter's hair, dragging her out of her wheelchair. I returned home seconds later, armed with my shotgun. What happened next changed our neighborhood forever. If you want to watch the full story, comment below with where you're watching from, and don't forget to like and subscribe for more stories about cruelty and care. The day that changed everything started like any other. I remember the morning sun streaming through our kitchen window as my daughter, Lily, sat at the table sketching designs for new flowers she wanted to add to her garden. Lily's smile was the brightest thing in my life, even on her hardest days. "Dad, do you think the yellow daisies would look good next to the purple petunias?" Lily asked, her pencil moving across the paper, despite the slight tremor in her hands. "Honey, anything you plant looks beautiful," I told her, setting a plate of eggs in front of her. "You've got a gift." That garden was Lily's pride. After the accident 3 years ago that damaged her spine, doctors said gardening would be good therapy for her. What started as a few pots on our porch grew into a colorful front yard display that neighbors used to before Mrs. Reed took over the HOA. I still have the first warning letter taped to our fridge. "Dear homeowner, your unauthorized landscaping violates Section 4.3 of the HOA bylaws. Please remove all non-conforming plants within 7 days." There were 6 more letters after that, each more threatening than the last. "I need to pick up your medication before the pharmacy closes," I told Lily that afternoon. "Will you be okay for a few minutes?" Lily nodded, wheeling herself toward the front window. "I'll be fine, Dad. I want to check on my flowers anyway. I'll be back in 10 minutes, tops," I promised, grabbing my keys. The pharmacy was only 5 minutes away. I remember checking my watch as I waited at the counter. 3:42 p.m. The pharmacist was taking longer than usual. "Sorry for the delay, Mr. Williams," she said finally. "The system is running slow today." My phone buzzed in my pocket. It was a text from our neighbor, Mrs. Green. "David, come home now. Something's happening with Lily." My heart dropped. I left the prescription and ran. The drive home took exactly 3 minutes. Even before I turned onto our street, I could hear shouting. As I pulled up to our house, I saw a crowd gathered on our lawn. I'll never forget what I saw when I pushed through that crowd. Lily, my beautiful, strong daughter, was lying on the grass beside her overturned wheelchair. Her garden was destroyed, plants ripped out, soil scattered across the sidewalk. And standing over her, red-faced and screaming, was Olivia Reed, the HOA president, holding a clump of Lily's dark hair in her fist. "I told you people this wasn't allowed," she shouted. "This neighborhood has standards." Lily was crying, trying to pull herself up, her phone clutched in her hand. I later learned she'd been recording Mrs. Reed and her 2 cronies as they tore up her garden. When Mrs. Reed noticed, she grabbed Lily by the hair and yanked her from her chair. Something in me snapped. My body moved before my brain could catch up. I sprinted into the house, went straight to the gun safe in my closet, and took out my shotgun. The metal was cold in my hands as I loaded it. My time in the Army came flooding back, the training, the discipline, the overwhelming need to protect what's mine. When I walked back outside, the crowd parted like the Red Sea. Mrs. Reed's face went from angry red to ghostly white when she saw me. "Get away from my daughter," I said, each word coming out like ice. "David, think about what you're doing," one of the neighbors said. "I am thinking," I replied, keeping the gun pointed at the ground. "I'm thinking that woman just assaulted my disabled child." Mrs. Reed started backing away. She was breaking the rules. "That garden is against regulations." I was simply enforcing them. "Enforcing what?" I shouted. "Your right to drag a teenager from her wheelchair and destroy her property." Mrs. Green stepped forward, holding up her phone. "I got it all on video, David. Every second. The police are on their way." Mrs. Reed's face twisted with rage. "You can't prove anything. It's my word against hers, and I'm a respected member of this community. Who's going to believe a man who comes home waving a gun around?" That's when Lily spoke up from the ground. Her voice shook, but was clear. "I was recording too, Mrs. Reed. From the moment you stepped on our property." The wail of police sirens filled the air. For a moment, I wondered if I'd made a terrible mistake. Would they see me as the threat? A man with a gun? But as 2 police cars pulled up, Mrs. Green stepped forward. "Officers, I have video evidence of this woman. She pointed at Mrs. Reed, assaulting this disabled girl and destroying their property. The next hour was a blur. I set the gun down when instructed, explained what happened, and the officers viewed the videos, both Lily's and Mrs. Green's. They took statements from everyone, and then, in front of the entire neighborhood, they handcuffed Olivia Reed and put her in the back of a police car. Assault on a minor with a disability, one officer explained. Property damage. This is serious, ma'am. As they drove away with Mrs. Reed, I knelt beside Lily, who was back in her wheelchair now, tears streaming down her face. I'm sorry, Dad, she whispered. I tried to stop them. No, sweetheart, I said, holding her hands. You were brave. So brave. The aftermath was harder than the incident itself. Lily had nightmares. I couldn't leave her alone, even for a minute, without her panicking. The court case dragged on for months, with Mrs. Reed's expensive lawyer trying to paint me as an unstable, gun-waving hothead. But the videos couldn't be denied, especially when 3 other families came forward with stories of Mrs. Reed's harassment, families with children who were different in some way. 4 months after that terrible day, I sat in a courtroom and watched as the judge sentenced Olivia Reed to community service, a hefty fine, and mandatory sensitivity training. She was also barred from serving on any HOA board in the county. Mr. Williams, the judge said to me, while I understand your protective instinct as a father, I must caution against taking up arms in such situations. However, given the circumstances and the fact that you did not point the weapon at anyone, no charges will be filed against you. I nodded, relief washing over me. Lily squeezed my hand. The real healing began when we returned home that day. As we pulled into our driveway, I was stunned to see dozens of people, neighbors, Lily's classmates, even strangers, all working in our front yard. They had completely restored Lily's garden, adding new flowers and even a small stone path for her wheelchair. Mrs. Green stepped forward, smiling. We took a collection. Everyone pitched in. A man I recognized from 3 houses down approached. We also held an emergency HOA meeting, he said. I'm the new president. Our first order of business was to approve a community garden program, with your daughter as the head consultant if she's willing. Lily's face lit up for the first time in months. Really, he confirmed. We're going to turn that empty lot on the corner into a garden that everyone can enjoy. We thought you might have some ideas about making it accessible for everyone. Over the next year, something beautiful grew from the ugliness of that day. Lily's garden, as it came to be known, became the heart of our neighborhood. Children with all kinds of abilities worked side by side, planting flowers, vegetables, and trees. Lily designed special raised beds that people in wheelchairs could tend easily. Mrs. Reed moved away, unable to face the community after what she'd done. I heard she tried to sue the HOA for emotional distress, but the case was thrown out. The 2 people who had helped her that day came to our house to apologize, bringing plants as peace offerings. Lily, with her enormous heart, forgave them. As for me, I sold my shotgun not because I regretted protecting my daughter, but because I learned something important that day. Our real strength comes not from weapons, but from community, from standing together against cruelty and injustice. Last week, on the 1-year anniversary of what we now call the incident, our neighborhood held a celebration in Lily's garden. As I watched my daughter laugh with her friends, directing younger children on where to plant new flowers, I felt a tap on my shoulder. It was Officer Rodriguez, the policeman who had arrested Mrs. Reed. He was off duty, in casual clothes. Thought you might want to know, he said quietly. Reed violated her probation. She pulled something similar in her new neighborhood. This time she's facing actual jail time. I nodded, feeling no joy at her downfall, only relief that she couldn't hurt anyone else. You know, Rodriguez continued, in all my years on the force, I've seen how situations like yours usually end. Most times, when someone grabs a gun, people get hurt. But you showed restraint. You protected your daughter without crossing that line. I came close, I admitted. But you didn't cross it, he said. That's what matters. As the officer walked away, Lily wheeled up beside me, a crown of flowers on her head, made by the neighborhood children. What are you thinking about, Dad? She asked, taking my hand. I looked around at our community, at the garden that had become a symbol of healing and inclusion, at the neighbors who had become family, at my daughter who had shown more courage and forgiveness than I thought possible. I'm thinking that sometimes, I told her, the best revenge isn't getting even. It's growing something beautiful right where you were hurt. Lily smiled and squeezed my hand. Then we've got the best revenge of all.